Ladies and gentlemen, since April, Bitcoin is upwards about 60%. Since April, the altcoin market is upwards about 60% as well. But Ethereum, since April, is upwards now 200%. We are in an Ethereum-dominated market environment. Ethereum is leading the way, it's leading the charge, and it's just done something even bigger. In fact, just 2 days ago, Ethereum has broken above its horizontal neckline of resistance that has held since the breakdown in 2021. It broke above a diagonal resistance zone that's held since the top in 2021, and it's in the process of breaking out from momentum indicator resistance that has held also since April 2021. Ethereum is making absolute massive strides in the right direction, and gains are flowing in. The question then becomes, is this just going to be an Ethereum-dominated market for the rest of the bull market, or will those gains flow down into altcoins? Well, right now, on a very local level, we're seeing the first signs of life for the altcoin market. Altcoins are upwards in the last week 15%, while Bitcoin in the last week is only upwards 5%. That's the first proper sign of altcoins outperforming Bitcoin that we've seen in a very, very long period of time. We're not quite there yet though, okay? There is a major problem. We're not quite there yet. We are still in the Ethereum dominated market environment. And I need to discuss that with you today, because if you miss this reality, if you miss this problem, you might get wrecked. There's no other way to put it. Probably could have said it more professionally. That's the simple truth though. So we'll look into Ethereum, altcoins, Bitcoin. We'll look into the way money flows in crypto cycle as a whole, the crypto money flow cycle, using this very simplistic diagram right here. And we'll make conclusions. What should you be doing right now? What would be watching out for? Okay, we can't just ignore all of the warning signs just because the market's going upwards. Okay, warning signs could come, and if they do, we need to be able to react to them. So I'm going to give you a very grounded analysis here of the Ethereum season, whether or not it will shift into an altcoin season, how to know when it's doing that, and obviously bringing it back to reality, which is Bitcoin, the levels that matter on Bitcoin. Let's get into it. Before we do so, please go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global, it's non-KYC, it's never been hacked before, it's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers. I'm going to illustrate to you very simply what the crypto money flow cycle is. Obviously, we have the 4-year cycle across the cryptocurrency market. Everyone knows about the 4-year cycle. It's a date range trend on Bitcoin. Bitcoin leads the market, and so it affects both Ethereum and altcoins, which essentially predicts that every 4 years we'll see a bull market, every 4 years we'll see a bear market, and we'll see 2 years in between of recovery, essentially. This has happened 3 consecutive times. Now we've seen 1, 2, 3 major bull markets and major bear markets. We're in currently the 3rd major bull market within the 4-year cycle. Actually the 4th if you're counting the original bull market after the first halving in 2012. But that one is very infantile, not much development in Bitcoin at that point. It didn't mature enough for us to really get anything from it. So technically it is the 4th bull market within the 4-year cycle, but for data purposes, this is the 3rd. And so we're stacking up evidence here, basically, and we can extract so much from this. But one of the things we've been able to extract from the 4-year cycle on Bitcoin is the money flow cycle, how money flows through assets within the cryptocurrency market within this broader cycle. It starts out in Bitcoin. It flows down into Ethereum when people get sick of Bitcoin, right? When people see that Bitcoin is not offering as much of a lucrative investment opportunity, what they'll do is they'll flow their money into Ethereum predominantly instead. That's what's happening right now. So we saw Bitcoin, for example, taking the lead. Bitcoin for the longest time, for a couple of years here almost, charging upwards while Ethereum and altcoins were doing basically nothing. It's only very recently, back here in April actually, during the April lows, that Ethereum started seeing its time in the spotlight. Bitcoin since April is upwards about 60%, while Ethereum since April is upwards close to 200%, in fact, over 200% as of today. So Ethereum's dramatically outperforming, and that's representing a shift in the money flow cycle. We're at the next step of the money flow cycle. We're no longer in the Bitcoin phase. We are now in the Ethereum dominated phase. And of course, next in the money flow cycle will be the altcoin dominated phase. So the question emerges, will we even see that this cycle? Because of course, unlike in prior cycles, altcoins actually haven't been doing that well. We are just basically 2.5 months out from the cyclical top according to the 4-year cycle. And the altcoin season is either only just starting now or has not started. It's very difficult to tell at this point, because actually the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap since April, you remember I told you Bitcoin's up about 60% since April, Ethereum's up about 200%. The total 3 since April is only upwards about 60% as well. So if anything, the total 3, the altcoin market, is actually pretty much not really doing anything more significant than Bitcoin. We're definitely not in an altcoin season then, by definition. Now, if we zoom into it on a more local level, right, let's say from the very recent low of August 2nd, we're up about 15% in the total 3. We're up about, let's see here, about 27% on Ethereum, and we're up about 5% only on Bitcoin. Now, this does paint a slightly different picture. Still, Ethereum is still the dominant force on a local level. We're still very much in an Ethereum season, not an altcoin season. But actually, altcoins are starting to pull away from Bitcoin. So we could be, in my view, we probably are in a transition phase between the Ethereum-dominated market environment and the altcoin-dominated market environment. We're somewhere in the middle here, where Ethereum is still king, and that money is probably starting to shift into altcoins as people get more and more bullish and hype builds higher and higher and higher. Being that we're still in an Ethereum-dominated market environment, I am still mostly focused on Ethereum. In fact, I don't own any altcoins right now. I actually am exclusively in Ethereum, and I have been that way since the end of April. I've reaped massive rewards from that, and I've publicized that on this YouTube channel. And although it probably would be realistically, I think it's a little bit too early to be shifting into altcoins just because we haven't seen the full transition yet. Altcoins are not even outperforming Ethereum yet, so the risk is still a little bit too high. Again, they are starting to pull away from Bitcoin for the first time, but we have to remember that Bitcoin does still control the market. Okay, that's the simple fact. And if Bitcoin crashes tomorrow, Ethereum and altcoins will shortly fall with it. They could keep running for a month. Like sometimes they usually do. Like for example, in 2017, Ethereum topped out about a month later than Bitcoin here in red. In 2021, Ethereum topped out about a month later than Bitcoin in red in the first part of the cycle as well. This is a pretty common thing, but overall, it's Bitcoin that signals the top, and altcoins follow, and Ethereum follows shortly after. So the fact that Bitcoin right now is actually still at resistance, we're looking at this channel right here, a logarithmic regression channel, which, the angle of ascension between tops and bottoms halves each cycle. There's clear resistance there at 124,000. There's clear resistance at 124,000 on the power law chart as well. There's clear resistance we've seen just on the local level at 124,000 that we've rejected from. Yes, Bitcoin looks good, and we discussed that yesterday. Yes, there could be a fractal forming here. We know for a fact that Bitcoin now is probably flipping this level back from 2017. It looks like it probably is. Okay, it's something like that. Major resistance line from 2017 is being flipped for support. That looks very similar, in my view, to what we did back here. Okay, we flipped a level that looked something like that back from 2024 for support. And you can see, I'll just outline this flip right now. Okay, there's the upside kind of consolidation. There's the drop downwards and the rounding bottom. There's the flip, and there's the move to the upside. Kind of a similar thing is happening right now. Okay, we have the breakout, the consolidation, the rounding bottom, and then the flip right here. So there could be some sort of fractal in play from that perspective. Even though Bitcoin looks good, my point is we are still at macro resistance on Bitcoin. And given the fact that we're just in a transition stage probably between the Ethereum season and the altcoin season, it does make sense, in my view, to wait. I don't think this is the time to be diving headfirst into altcoins. I think this is, as I said, very clearly still an Ethereum-dominated market environment. And with that said, we can look into the Ethereum TA and we can see that this Ethereum-dominated market environment, certainly doesn't look weak. Ethereum is looking very, very, very strong. Not only has Ethereum broken above a diagonal level of resistance, it's slightly misdrawn here, You can see 3 consecutive retests of that line, breaking to the upside just a couple of days ago. It's also broken local resistance that we rejected from twice before going way down 65%. We've broken that as well. And we're in the process of breaking above a monthly chart RSI resistance line, going right back to 2021, okay? Absolutely huge breakout on Ethereum, and it's been matched on the Ethereum BTC chart. Ethereum is skyrocketing against Bitcoin right now. You can see the breakout from a triangle there on the weekly chart. You can see a breakout on the weekly chart from a line going backwards from 2021. It is doing insane. Yes, it's facing new resistance from a diagonal white line here, but that's something we'll discuss as the chart matures. Right now, we're just looking very, very, very good. It doesn't even matter if we see a short-term pullback. That's how good we're looking. Now, I will just say, just so I don't come at this from a ridiculously bullish angle that is unjustified, if Ethereum does come back down and break below something like 4,000 and, holds a breakdown below 4,000, this would be a fake out, and that would be concerning. But right now, I'm not sure we should be worrying about that too much unless it occurs. If it occurs, we can adjust, we can react. Right now, we are in a good position from a TA perspective. On the altcoin market, it's not there yet. It's simply not there yet. Great, we come downwards. We saw a bounce from a support level. Awesome. We're still below the 2021 all-time high. We still haven't even broken that level. Bitcoin dominance, even on a local time frame, is on major support here. That we want to see that breaking down. We need to see a few more things in the altcoin market for it to really, really get rolling. Overall, it's Ethereum still continuing to steal the spotlight. Altcoins showing their first sign of life, against Ethereum and against Bitcoin, but not quite there yet. And I just don't think it's really going to get to that point until Bitcoin confirms another macro breakout and the market environment shifts once more. Now, again, I want to ground you in reality here. I don't want to, I feel like I've taken a little bit of a bullish stance in this video, and that's good because it is a bullish market environment. But again, we need to just think about what matters. What matters, as I said, is 124,000. Very much an important level for Bitcoin, not only for Bitcoin, for altcoins, for Ethereum as well. Breaking that level will just guarantee another macro move to the upside, another period of parabolic moves for the entire market. So that would be great to see. But I also want to highlight the fact that 110,000 is a major support zone for Bitcoin. Between 110 and 109 is a neckline of support. And if that neckline of support breaks, we enter pretty bearish territory for Bitcoin. Okay, and that could ruin everything. Doesn't matter how good Ethereum looks today, that could ruin everything. Okay, so we need to watch out for that as well. So make sure to not get lost in the bullishness. Make sure to not get lost in the gains. Remain grounded in reality. Remain grounded in Bitcoin. Remember where the Bitcoin levels are. Because at the end of the day, although generally speaking, we've seen Ethereum run longer than Bitcoin, it is Bitcoin topping that eventually leads to the top on Ethereum and eventually leads to the top on altcoins. So Bitcoin is really the thing you need to watch the most, even if Bitcoin isn't leading the market as it usually is in gains, in returns. So the whole point of this video is to just give you a status check on the altcoin season. We are seeing the first signs of life on altcoins. We are seeing the first signs on a very, very local level that altcoins are up 15% while Bitcoin's up 5%. That's the first real sign of an altcoin season potentially developing. Not quite there yet. And I don't think it's the time to jump the gun, personally at least. Obviously, you guys can do what you want. You have your own risk tolerances. Definitely worth watching though. It's definitely a good sign. Currently, currently Ethereum is still leading very heavily and actually making strides even further in that direction. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Also, go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange. A lot of people ask me what exchange I use as a trader. I use the Bitunix Exchange, and I don't have a contract with them. I haven't signed anything with them. I don't work for them. I advertise them on my own accord. With my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount permanently attached to your account, as well as up to 8,000 USDT in rewards just by signing up with my link down below. Why would you sign up? Well, it's global. It's non-KYC. It's never been hacked before. It's got all of the functions and pairs that you would expect for a major exchange. For that reason, I use it. And I implore you to consider using it as well. Sign up with my link to help out the channel, help out yourself. Cheers.